Hello, Hoops fans. Welcome back to Tips and Streams, your go-to spot for all things NBA betting. As always, it's your host, Kokan here, and I'm super excited to bring you today's jam-packed episode. We've got a thrilling lineup of today's NBA games, and I'm ready to dive deep with our predictions and insider tips. Whether you're a seasoned bettor or just getting into the game, today's episode is tailored just for you. Stay tuned, and let's get into today's NBA betting predictions on Tips and Streams. The first today's prediction is for matchup between Sacramento Kings and Detroit Pistons. Tonight's clash on the hardwood features an epic showdown between the Sacramento Kings and the Detroit Pistons. Let's break it down. The Kings are storming the court with a formidable 21-14 record, lighting up the scoreboard with about 118.26 points each game. Their sharpshooting prowess is evident with a solid 47.56% field goal efficiency and a notable 37.30% from beyond the arc. Not to forget, they're grabbing around 43.94 rebounds per game, a stat that speaks to their dominance on both sides of the court. On the flip side, the Pistons are facing a rough patch, reflected in their .333 tally. They're averaging 111.40 points per game, with their field goal and three-point percentages slightly trailing the Kings. These figures hint at their struggles to find rhythm both in offense and defense. Looking at past face-offs, especially in Detroit, the Kings have been the alpha team, triumphing and beating the spread in 4 of their recent 5 games there. This trend underscores Sacramento's ease in Detroit's den. Injuries are also shaking things up. The Kings might be down 1 with Trey Lyles sidelined, while the Pistons are missing Monty Morris and Isaiah Stewart. Detroit's losses might just skew the odds more in Sacramento's favor. Diving into recent trends, the Kings have been steady against Eastern Conference and Central Division rivals despite a wobbly January. The Pistons, despite a dismal season, have been unexpectedly sturdy against the spread in their recent outings, making them a sneaky pick for bettors. Big picture, Sacramento's offensive juggernaut, combined with Detroit's defensive hiccups, suggests a high-scoring affair. The odds are leaning towards the Kings with a 10-point spread advantage, with an ambitious over-under of 242 points. All things considered, my money's on Sacramento clinching this one. Their offensive firepower and track record against Eastern teams are hard to ignore, but with Detroit's knack for covering the spread and considering the hefty point spread, they might just keep it closer than expected. Wrapping up, tonight's game is poised to be a spectacle of Sacramento's scoring onslaught versus Detroit's gritty spirit. I'm betting on the Kings to take the win, but the Pistons could very well keep it within the 11.5-point spread. A point of interest for bettors. The lofty 242 total points seem a stretch. In their last 5 matchups in Detroit, they've never even flirted with that number. I'm wagering the total points will stay under 242.5. The next today's prediction is for the game between Minnesota Timberwolves and Orlando Magic. A night's showdown between the Minnesota Timberwolves and the Orlando Magic is gearing up to be a hoop extravaganza, with each squad flaunting their distinctive flair and current hot streak. The Timberwolves are strutting in with a flashy 25-10 record, known for their high-scoring offense, dropping a hefty 113.09 points per game. Their shooting is on fire, boasting a field goal percentage of 48.57%. They're especially deadly from downtown, nailing 38.21% from the three-point line. Dominating the glass with an average of 43.79 rebounds per game, they're a force to reckon with at both ends of the floor. The Orlando Magic, hot on their heels with a 21-15 record, bring their A-game to the court. They've got a slight upper hand in scoring, averaging 113.80 points per game. Their field goal percentage might be a tad lower at 47.42%, and their three-point game at 34.58% isn't jaw-dropping, but still packs a punch. Their rebound game at 43.34 per game is nearly neck and neck with the Timberwolves, hinting at a relentless tussle for rebounds. Looking at their recent matchups, it's a mixed bag. In the last 10 face-offs, the Timberwolves have clinched 3 wins and have beaten the spread in 4. But in Orlando, the game tilts a bit, with Minnesota scoring wins and covering the spread 3 times in their last 5 visits. Injury updates could throw a curveball tonight. The Timberwolves have Jalen Clark on the questionable list, while the Magic's bench looks shaky with Joe Ingles, Gary Harris, Jonathan Isaac, Wendell Carter Jr., Franz Wagner, and Kevin Harris potentially sitting out, shaking up their lineup. Trend-wise, the Timberwolves are stumbling with a 1-6 record against the spread in their recent 7 and a worrying 2-7 straight up in their last 9 clashes with Orlando. They're also struggling on the road, with a 3-12 straight up in their last 15 visits to Orlando. Meanwhile, the Magic are shining with a 5-1 record against the spread in their last 6 and an impressive 11-2 straight up in their last 13 home games, including a commanding 12-3 straight up against Minnesota on their turf. The odds are tipping a 5-point spread in favor of the Timberwolves, with the over-under at 222.5 points. But considering the Timberwolves' recent shaky play and the Magic's solid home and against the spread performance, it looks like a smart bet to back the Magic to cover. Their home court resilience and Minnesota's iffy spread record suggest a close game, with the Timberwolves possibly clinching a win, but the Magic keeping it tighter than the 5-point spread. Wrapping it up, while the Minnesota Timberwolves pack a punch with their offensive and shooting game, the Orlando Magic's sturdy home play and stronger spread record, especially against Western Conference teams, position them as the safer bet to cover tonight. And here's a tip. Watch the total points. The Timberwolves, ranking 21st in league pace, are scoring 98.8 points per 100 possessions and are tight on defense, allowing the 4th fewest points on the road. Despite a hiccup against the Mavericks, they're leading the league in defensive rating. The Magic, sitting at 4th in defense, score 99.8 points per 100 possessions, placing them 16th in the league. Historical matchups suggest a trend of total points falling below the mark in 4 of their last 6 games. My final shot, I will bet on the total points staying under 222 as a smart move. The next today's prediction is for the game between Portland Trail Blazers and New York Knicks. Tonight's matchup between the Portland Trail Blazers and the New York Knicks is gearing up to be an epic clash of East versus West. Kicking things off, the Trail Blazers are making a splash in New York City. Their season's journey has been a roller coaster, boasting 10 victories against 25 defeats. They're netting an average of 108.24 points each game, decent but not quite in the league of the Knicks' impressive 115.78. With a field goal success rate of 43.63% and a three-pointer accuracy of 35.36%, the Blazers are decent, yet the Knicks are nailing shots with greater accuracy, hitting 46.70% of field goals and 37.76% from three-point land. In the rebound department, Portland grabs 41.74 rebounds a game, trailing New York's 45.44. As for assists, Portland's at 22.65 per game, narrowly missing New York's 23.97. The stats speak volumes. The Knicks are packing more heat on the court. Examining their recent head-to-head record, the Trailblazers have secured 6 victories in their last 10 encounters. However, in terms of beating the spread, they've succeeded only 3 times in those 10 matches. In New York, the Blazers have won twice, but covered the spread just once in their last 5 visits, signaling a Knicks home court edge. Injury updates are key. Portland is without some major players. Matisse Thybulle, Moses Brown, and Jabari Walker are questionable, while Robert Williams and DeAndre Ayton are out. The Knicks have Mitchell Robinson on their injury roster. Looking at recent trends, the Trailblazers are 3-6 against the spread in their last 9 games and have won 4 out of their last 17. Their away game record is weak, with only 1 win in the last 8. The Knicks, however, are on a roll with a 4-1 record against the spread and straight up in their last 5 games, plus a strong 6-1 record at home in their last 7 at Madison Square Garden. Discussing the betting odds, the Knicks are the favorites with a 10.5-point spread advantage, and the total points are set at 228. Given their superior field goal and three-point percentages and strong performance on their home turf, the Knicks are poised for victory. In summary, after analyzing the stats, trends, and historical matchups, I'm placing my bet on the New York Knicks to win and cover the spread. Their home court prowess and overall efficiency make them the stronger contender against the Trailblazers. I'm backing the New York Knicks with a minus 10.5. The next today's prediction is for the game between Memphis Grizzlies and Dallas Mavericks. Tonight's basketball battle features a thrilling face-off between the Memphis Grizzlies and the Dallas Mavericks. We're going deep into the stats and the latest play styles. Kicking off with the Mavericks playing on their home court, they've been nothing short of stellar. They've bagged a solid 22 wins out of 37 games, showing their stronghold at home. Their scoring game is top-notch, dropping an average of 119.08 points each night, which overshadows the Grizzlies' 107.43. The Mavs shine brighter in shooting accuracy too, nailing 47.35% of their shots and 36.88% from the three-point line, leaving the Grizzlies trailing with 43.95% and 33.85% respectively. On the rebound front, it's a tight race, but Dallas has a slight edge over Memphis. The Mavericks also display slicker passing, signaling a more in-sync and effective offense. In recent games, the Mavericks have been on a hot streak, crushing at 5-1 in point spread bets in their last 6 outings. The Grizzlies, however, seem to be in a bit of a slump, with a 2-5 record in their recent 7. Injuries are also a concern for Memphis, with star players like Ja Morant on the questionable list. Dallas is handling their injury situation better and staying more competitive. Looking back at their last 10 clashes, the Grizzlies grabbed 4 wins but only outdid the point spread twice. In games hosted by Dallas, it's a split with 3 wins each. But the Mavericks have a strong record against Western Conference teams, going 7-1 in point spreads in their recent 8 matchups. The odds makers are leaning towards the Mavericks, setting them up as the favorites with a 4.5-point lead and an over-under of 236.5 points. Given Dallas's scoring prowess and home advantage against the Grizzlies' recent spread struggles, the Mavericks are likely to not just win but also beat the spread. Wrapping it up, taking into account the current momentum, head-to-head history, injury reports, and stats, my call is on the Dallas Mavericks to take home the win and beat the minus 7.5-point spread tonight. Their offensive firepower and home edge, mixed with the Grizzlies' recent issues and injuries, swing the odds in Dallas's favor. And about the total score prediction? Diving into the trends, the most recent games for both teams have stayed under the total points, 4 out of 6 for Memphis and 8 out of 12 for Dallas. When these two teams clash, the under seems to be the trend, with 8 of the last 11 games not reaching the set total. In games at Dallas, the under has been more common, with 6 of the last 7 encounters not hitting the total points mark. Considering Dallas's high-scoring home games against Memphis's slightly lower average, and the prevailing under trend for both teams, especially in Dallas-hosted games, it looks more probable that the total score will stay under the 236.5 points line set by the odds makers. The last prediction for today is for the matchup between Toronto Raptors and Los Angeles Lakers. Tonight's matchup between the Toronto Raptors and the Los Angeles Lakers is gearing up to be a basketball spectacle. Diving into the current stats and performance of both squads, we uncover some compelling details. The Raptors, sporting a record of 15 wins and 21 losses, are finding this season challenging. Yet, they boast an average of 115.0 points per game and impress with a field goal accuracy of 48.09%. Their prowess from beyond the arc is notable at 35.24%, coupled with an average of 44.50 rebounds and 29.50 assists per game. Impressively, they've shown resilience in beating the odds, particularly in their recent face-offs against the Lakers, boasting a 7-1 record against the spread in their last 8 games in LA. In contrast, the Lakers, with a balanced 19-19 record, seem to be faring slightly better. They rack up an average of 113.74 points per game and edge out with a field goal percentage of 48.56%. Their three-point game trails slightly at 34.98%, with averages of 43.71 rebounds and 27.21 assists per game. However, the Lakers have hit a rough patch lately, with a 1-4 record both outright and against the spread in their recent 5 games. Their home court hasn't been a fortress against the Raptors, as evidenced by a 1-7 against the spread record in their last 8 home games against Toronto. Looking at their direct confrontations, the Raptors have been dominant, clinching 7 out of the last 10 games and beating the spread in 7 of those. In their last 5 encounters in LA, the Raptors triumphed 4 times but beat the spread in only 3. This historical dominance, combined with their current form, tilts the scale in favor of the Raptors. The injury list has the Raptors' Otto Porter Jr. and the Lakers' Rui Hachimura marked as questionable, while Gabe Vincent remains sidelined. These potential absences might shake up the team's dynamics and strategies. The Lakers are currently the bookmakers' favorites with a 6-point lead, and the total points prediction stands at 230.5. However, given the Raptors' consistent performance against the spread in LA and the Lakers' recent stumbles, the Raptors seem poised to beat the odds. Their overall team statistics, particularly in rebounding and assists, provide them a competitive edge in this face-off. In summary, while the Lakers enjoy the home court advantage and a marginally higher field goal percentage, the Raptors' recent history against the Lakers and their knack for outperforming in away games position them as a formidable challenger to beat the spread tonight. My bet is on the Toronto Raptors to outdo the odds.